Here we go. All right. So you might need to dock a texture panel to this side. Okay. And now, if your user interface are not present here, just load the user interface. Do you remember I have this set up? You need to change the texture or the shader to basic material in order to take up the light. So now I can move this. Once again, I can dock this by do like this. Let me review a little bit on the configuration and enable customize UI, and I can put the lights, hold Control Alt, drag that and drop to wherever you want it. Okay, and then collapse that. Then go to Preference, Disable, Store, and then save your UI with your name. We're going to add more and more. The interface, we're going to customize more and more. So right now I'm going to bring my texture palette to the right side because I want it to load Spotlight that we saved. Hi, Isaiah. So when I click on Load Spotlight, I'm going to navigate to wherever I save it. There we go. Now, if you somehow forgot to do this last session, just import all the texture you need inside here, and then click its highlight texture and add to Spotlight. You will get it. And to turn on Spotlight, once again, Shift C. Shift C. If I move your cursor, if I move my cursor, can you see the shortcut? Turn on Spotlight, Shift plus Z. Okay. So right now, this shape is just for a referencing. Okay. So we're gonna duplicate this subtool. I'll wait a little bit. We're gonna merge them together because this is gonna just be only reference, and then we're gonna build inside this kind of a suitcase. So at the moment, though, I want to keep this part of the skull, the top part of the skull. So I'm gonna duplicate that one, skull number 2. Your might be different name though. So duplicate, and then we have 2 of them, but one of them we're gonna merge it down on the face part to the bottom part of the skull. So merge down, use under sub 2, merge down, and click OK. Just remember it said undoable, but we haven't saved it, so click OK. And we're going to put that to the top. So put these sub 2 to the top. So select the sub 2 and click. Shortcut is Shift to move or Control up arrow. You can just click this button. Here we go. Okay. And you're going to save this as into different name. So that something wrong, you can go back to the, I can go back to the skull number 2. So now I'm going to skull number 3. Okay. I'll wait a little bit. I'll give you time a little bit. Oh, I almost forget. People who are online, if you don't get the tool back that I give away, the spray, sand papers, and a few of the putty, you can come whenever you available. You can stop by at the main office and pick them up with Redina. Okay. For people who are online, hey guys, you might want to bring the picture to your second monitor, just in case you need to look at them. Oh, come on. Okay. So you duplicate the top part of the skull into one layer, into one sub two, and then you merge down the top part original and the bottom part, because we're going to use that as a reference. For example, if I select the sub 2 number skull 2, how about rename that so it make more sense? I'm going to select the skull 3, rename. Under rename, I'm going to call skull refer. It might force you to name your file to skull refer because it's on top. We'll see. Okay. And this one I'm going to call top part. Skull top. Okay. So save again, Control Shift T, shortcut, Control Shift T, shortcut. Can you see it's kind of forced you to name that? I'm gonna. Oh, it changed me. So, well, never mind. We can move that to the bottom, but it's okay. Okay. So at this point, when you look at on the site font view, can you see the font view? Now, before we forget, I want you to double check on your brush, because under brush sample, if spotlight projection is on, you will not be able to sculpt your geometry when you have spotlight activated. So once again, brush, uncheck spotlight projection. We just want to use as a as a reference. Now, to manipulate your image, let's review again. When spotlight on, to activate the spotlight dial, you press Z, just one Z. And then you can grab the center to close to your whatever image you want it to do, to manipulate. And then you can move by grabbing anywhere inside the dial, like that. There we go. And you can resize it. You can change the opacity right here. So mainly we use only two dials at the moment. Okay. There we go. And then you press Z again to disable the dial. Now you should be able to move things around. So at this point, when you look at on the top part of the skull, on the bottom side is a parietal bone. So that's the shape. Can you see right there? And also there is a, can you see this one? Hold on, let me Z. There we go. Right here. Z. The psychomatic is run around to this side, right? And then connect to the temporal right there. That's a little, I don't know what to call that, like a thorn or something shape. Okay. But if you look at right here, the parietal is larger size and then started to narrow to the front of the brow. So the brow. So that's what the shape I want you to start it to move. Don't worry about the psychomatic, because we're going to add another shape. We don't have to do from this shape. And then, so now, if you like, you can, on your sub 2, turn all the visible, but you enable transparency. There we go. And can you see, when you enable transparency, any sub 2 that are not activated will turn kind of transparent. Because now, let me move something quick. I'm going to change the brush size to move brush, just temporary. You don't have to do it yet. I just want to show it to you. And I'm going to press, make sure you turn on symmetry. So right now mine is on. If I press X, I toggle off. Symmetry is X. It's under transform, activate symmetry. Shortcut is X. X does not mean X symmetry. It's just an activate the symmetry. Okay? So now if I move this, can you see? These top subtool turn transparency. The reason that we want a reference so that we don't go either bigger than whatever we measurement from the beginning. So now, let me undo quick. Okay. So I want you to just move, kind of press it down on the that part. Sorry. On the bottom part of the top of the skull, so that it's narrow. Can you see right there? And if you get confused, you can turn off the visibility. Okay. So that you can see it. There you go. And right there. I'm going to narrow it down a little bit. And look at on the top view. Can you see? So that it doesn't have to be exactly same as photograph, because we are working on the concept, idealized, abstract of the form. So let me show you the form again. Here we go. If I look at from the bottom, can you see? It's actually really squeezed in there. So that has an opening space for psychomatic and then connect to the temporal. And let me look at on the bottom. So right now I'm looking at on the bottom. I'm gonna squeeze it even more right here. All right. So I'm gonna shrink this down. And oops, I forgot. Here we go. So now look at on a frontal bone right here. You can push in just to get started. And if you want to smooth them out, go for it. Press shift. Let me change. S is the brush size. Shift is enable smooth, but intensity right now set to 100. So reduce it a little. I think my resolution is so great. So here we go. Okay. So basically, we're gonna just build only this part right here, and you can use a trim clipping curve. So Control Shift, because I'm gonna slide this inward, because we're gonna add another surface on the nozzle and maxilla. So if you hold Control Shift together, selection, click, and change to curve, clip curve. There we go. And now, if you remember, if I click and drag anything that on the gradient, black gradient, it will be trimmed. So if I want to trim from the outward, I have to rotate. And then you can hold space bar to move. Now, you want it to be a little slight angle like this. Cut it. Just cut it. basically we do this part. We prepare on that that plane, angle plane. We're gonna put the orbital bone, that's the eye socket. Okay. And you might need to check time to time. Here we go. So this is the brow. I make a mistake. Can you guys see? I forgot. That's the brow line that we mark it. Do you remember? Hairline, brow, and then the nozzle, the bottom of the nozzle, basically is nozzle cavity right here. So we mark it. So I need to make a little change. Let me turn on a transparency back. Well, we don't have to be exactly sharp corner. You could just move them. There we go. Because it's organic anyway. Right there. There we go. So now I got it. So that's the correct. That will be the socket. So now, let's go back to these. Let me turn off the skull. Let's mark a little more because we need to measure the distance between the eye socket, the orbital bone with the cavity, and the end of the brow. Now, conceptually, it's 5 units. So what I mean is this. Let me Z quick. Okay. Saturation. Where's my brush? So let's see if I can. One moment. My brush. Oh, never mind. Sorry, hold on. What am I doing? Okay, sorry. Change to, I'm gonna use Damien standard brush or dam brush. So 5 units. If I scratch, let's say 1. Here we go. Just average it. And right now mine is not perspective. Let me turn on perspective. When I turn on perspective, it's kind of right. Can you see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now the orbital socket right here is going to be right around there. It doesn't have to be exactly like that. It can be bigger, but it will be right around there. And this is going to be the nose. Here we go. So right here will be the end of the brow. And we're going to sculpt like that, right? So, and this is coming in like this. Here we go. So that's the idea. And the brow, eye socket. I make it too big, okay. And I think that has to be bigger. And it seems like it's out of place with my my perspective. This seems too long, right? If I turn this off, perspective. Yeah, it looks like a too long. Let me use finger to measure again. Brow. Yeah, mine is off. This part is too long. So let me switch the brush to move brush. I think it's time for us to dot the shortcut for the brush. Here we go. So, okay, that's the correct one. I'm gonna blur that out because that's the idea. Okay, and I'm gonna turn it off. Okay, so you can turn it on back if you like to see for now. Okay, and so at this point we got that plane really nicely. We're gonna add the shape of, let me move this part one more. Okay, we're gonna add the shape that connect the plane from the from right here, straight line like this to there. You can use sphere or cube, it doesn't matter. So just only on that level right here. And then we're gonna add a kind of egg shape to the maxilla. So that is become a guide for us. I could just use this sub tool. Let's duplicate and then we reshape this because it's quicker. Press move to and go ahead, change the scale. I mean, you can restart it over for the shape, it's perfectly fine. Or you can do like mine. There we go. And now when you look at on the side view, the profile view, basically this section, the starting of the mandible, the tip of the bone here, is about halfway. I mean, it's halfway. So now, are you gonna, but this part is right around here. So it's like 1/3. See right there, 1/3. And you can do clip curve again to get started quickly. Just clip it. I don't even need to do angle. Control Shift plus space bar to move around. There we go. Just to get started. And I'm gonna move this part a little bit. Because we're gonna make them become one single object soon. Right now, when we look at on the front view, this is about 1/3 unit. Can you see right here? You can calculate like from here to there, 1, 2, and 3. So 3 units. So if I go back to this one, let me show you. So 3 units, right? From 1 to probably right here. So that's gonna be a little smaller. This guy right here gonna be a little smaller. Narrower, not smaller. Here we go. Okay. And then you just rough it out. Don't need a detail, just quickly rough it out. Okay. All right. Now, we're gonna add another egg shape. You can insert sphere, get started quicker, and then smooth it out your sphere a little bit. Oops. Don't forget, when you create a new, let me turn this on, a new object on the sub tool, the symmetry is disabled by default. So you have to press X to enable it, smooth it out a little bit. Oh, I think, hold on, my sphere is not a Dynamesh yet. So convert the new sphere to Dynamesh. If you like, you can rename them. You can call them maxilla. Okay. So that you can remember the name. And after you done it, go to geometry and Dynamesh. Just leave it low at the moment, just 128. Oops, I forgot to turn off. It doesn't matter at the moment because we're still under blocking. The reason that we wanted low division because easier to smooth, easier to form it for now. And if you like, you can use move brush, or there's another trick. Under deformation, you can work around with the scale, the size. So right now, when you might need to turn on floor so that you can see what direction orientation is. So I can narrow the X and Y, X and Z, leave the Y. at the moment. So if I disable y-axis on size, and then I can reduce it. Can you see? Because I enable only X and Z. We want a little bit like X shape. Okay. And then you can switch to move to so that you get to gizmo. Shrink it down. Oops, forgot. Okay. And we're going to move that. And now maxilla, the protrude on the core of the ellipse shape is, you can get it to protrude like it's about right here on the bottom of the nozzle bridge, the nozzle cavity. And then now from there to here, you can leave it to 2/3 unit. What I'm saying about 2/3 unit is this. Hold on, let me go back to this one. Let me turn everything off quick. Okay, so basically maxilla X shape is kind of show up from here until there. So if you divide it, my bad, just this. Right now we still, and then I'm gonna B brush D Damien. There we go. So basically, if I divide 1, 2, 3, it doesn't have to be perfect, guys. So basically, those X-shaped maxilla, I wanted you guys to make it show up. It's about 2/3 of that proportion. That's it. So I'm gonna turn that off. X-shape. Oh, here we go. And you might need to turn on transparent. Oh, no. Here we go. What am I doing? There we go. So 2/3. I'm going to press move to, and there we go. Because on the mandible, there's a chin right there. So we want that part. Okay. So now it should look like this. Okay. And then we're going to add the mandible, this section. So the mandible, you could start it with cube, or you can use this. It's okay. How about just use whatever we already have? Duplicate the maxilla, rename it mandible. There we go. And I'm going to move a little bit. Scale it. Here we go. So, and you might need to turn on transparency so that you won't go beyond than that. Here we go. Right there. And then you just trim it. So, and once again, it's angled on the tip of the mandible. I kind of touch under the zygomatic, and it's about halfway of the skull, halfway, including nose too. So I'm gonna move like that, and just like this for now. Yes. Hold on one moment. Let me save these, guys. I forgot. And then I'll give you a few minutes. I'll go help. Here we go. Okay. So get that shape and use a clipper to clip it.
Are we done already? Honestly, trying to get everything the working set up properly.
Did you go? Oh no, you have to go.
It's so. I don't know what thing this part is. This is a sick mouse pad. Let's see your house.
Oh, it said as a dog, go to file menu and open. document is Z project. Okay. You might save as a picture.
Those are good old days.
Can I see on your, on your Windows Explorer? I want to see the file here.
Chop his face off.
Right there? Okay. Can you right click and see what what extension is? Select the file. You have to right click and copy. What does it say? ZBR. Okay, so do it again. Load to CPR. Oh, CPR is stop. So open. File open. Oh no, that window. Cancel. 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 And then load to drive.
Yes, that's what this part is for.
Okay, try it again. I mean, just start over. No, and then control N to clear that screen. Control N. Oh, it's on transparency?
Yes.
Okay, sure. And go with F. And go on it. And then turn on edit. Yep. And then convert it. Make polygon. And then geometry, diagonal. Okay, so it works. So now save to save as. And just reset to this time.
So you kind of lost me where like I was trying to trim this part.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, where are we going next with this?
Oh no, you're missing something. You need to duplicate that and then we combine them. This is what I did. Look at my screen quick. Zach, can you see? This is the original. So basically, you duplicate only the parental part, two of them, and one of them you merge that with whatever the original is to use as this. Hold on. That's it. So this is hey guys, if you get confused, can you look at on my screen again? So this is the reference. Basically the reference, if I do Control Alt drag, it's become I didn't turn on Dynamesh, I think. Dynamesh. So these are a single object. So basically I duplicate this part first, and then the original I merge it down with the bottom part, because this we wanted to use as a kind of container. And then at that moment you should have two subtool. The other one is this that we'll work with. And then the second tool is this second subtool. The third subtool is Maxilla. Now we have the fourth subtool is Mandible. So okay, I'll give you a little bit of time to work.
So what is the merged one for? That's
For this referencing,
okay.
that one. Because this one we wanted when we want to look at as a transparency. Can you see?
Uh-huh.
So that's it. So I think you just got confused on that part, which is okay. Okay. How you guys doing, people online? Are you able to catch up? Online people?
Working on
Should I wait a little bit more? Okay.
I'm just kind of watching during class because I'm on a laptop and it's hard to go back and forth between.
Got you. Okay, that's fine. In that case, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm just watching too because
Do
I'm
the
also
same.
on a laptop.
Got
There's
you.
lots of people in this house doing online classes, so I can't really get on my desktop and work and watch at the same time like I want to.
Got it. Okay, that's fine in that case. So in that case, I'm gonna give you more time to. So you can do this during the weekend, or from tomorrow, to finish it by Tuesday. Okay. So, Zach, are you doing okay now?
So you said the egg shape.
Yep. Let me turn all of this off so that at the beginning we got two subtool. Okay. So this subtool
Yeah.
and this as reference, and then the second subtool is the egg shape. That's it. And then the egg shape, we kind of prepare that plane, the orbital plane, orbital socket plane. And after that, we add a little shape on the upper part of the maxilla right there. That connect to the parietal bone, because we're gonna work on the eye socket and the nostril cavity and upper teeth with this one, the second one, that one. Now, how about this? If you guys get confused at the moment, you can merge the top skull to the upper part of the teeth or the eye socket together. That might reduce the confusion. So I'm gonna merge this down. So merge down, click OK, and then you just control drag to re-dynamask. And when I smooth it, it look like this. You see? So that will be this section right here. So right now we don't have an eye socket yet. Don't worry, we will. We don't have a psychomatic yet. We will. Okay. Now the psychomatic though, you can start off with any shape and trim it. Oh, maybe I shouldn't go to the mandible yet, so let's focus on this. So now, on this plane, we got the eye socket there. That's good. And you might need, you should enable visibility on the reference and turn on transparency. So that, because we marked that, right? I can't see the mark. We marked that right here. One moment, let me reduce the screen. You might not see it. So the eye socket is going to be right around here and there. So if I turn on transparency and I select this section, I'm going to move that. I'm going to press B and move M, move brush. So I'm going to enlarge this a little bit wider. There we go. Because that's going to be the eye socket. And I'm going to turn this off. Now, you can fill up this area just a little bit. If I hold Shift key, I smooth it out. You see? There we go. And I'm going to extend this section for the frontal and curve into the temporal part of the bone. So if I press B to brush and then press C to clay brush, and I'm going to use a clay buildup right here. And now I can kind of touching a little bit, you see? And then you can soften it This is why we are going for a really low subdivision of the geometry, because it's easier to rough it out. We don't want any detail, we just want to rough it out at the moment. So I extend a little bit. So now these are presenting on the arc of the brow, right here, that area, arc of the brow. And you can trim these off a little bit by using trim dynamics. I think it's time to add our shortcut right down here. So let's save again, Control Shift T. Save often, I'm gonna override it. Okay. So right now it looks like this on the side view. Okay. Now, let's add the brush on the bottom part here. So under Preference, Enable Customize, and then I'm gonna, let me move that away right here. And double click on this, okay. And we're gonna put brushes palette right here. So brush, oops, grab that, there we go. So we want clay brush. So Control Alt, oh, sorry, wrong one. I have to pick from here, from the small one. So clay build up, Alt, Control, drag, and drop. My screen is a little weird because it's the pixel is really small pixel, not large pixel. So, and then standard, Control and Alt, drag and drop, move, things we use often. Here we go. And Damien, if you don't see any brush on here, you need to load it first. Like for example, you click on the brush set, and then I want trim dynamics, press T to filter it out, and I can get trim dynamics. Here we go. Now when you select it, it will insert inside here. Now you can grab the small one. If you grab the big one, it will, when you click the big icon, you will get the pops up window of the brush palette. So you don't want that. And what else we need? We need move, Damien standard brush, and last semester we used a lot a high polish. So H, high polish. We use this to trim the edge. Alt, drag, there we go. And at the moment, that's all. So I'm gonna collapse this. Here we go. And then you go to Preference. I mean, if you don't collapse the left side palette, it will save that as a starting point. So I don't want that. I want a big space. Preference, disable, storage, store configuration. Okay. There we go. Sorry, hold on. Why? Let me reduce it more, and I have to redo it again. Store. Okay. And then I'm gonna save this UI. I'm gonna override the one that I did last section. Where did I save it? I saved somewhere, I forgot, so I'm gonna just rename it. Gonna call a subred interface. Okay. So that next time when you come back, if you don't see this UI, you can load it up again, and then you will get this lighting and things like that. So right now, I need to craft the eye socket, but it's already angled in for me. So in this case, I'm gonna use a clay build-up, smaller brush, and I kind of gonna draw, Alt, drag to craft in your eye socket. Okay. There we go. You might need to smooth it out. Control drag to recalculate it. Okay. And at this moment, if the proportion is incorrect, don't worry. You can scale, or you can move them around using move brush. And let me turn that on again. There we go. So I want to see the area. So this absolutely can be wider, because right here is about 1 unit, second, third, fourth, and fifth. So, and okay, so now I can turn this off. All right, I'll give you a few minutes. Can you try? How about 10 minutes on this? And you can take a break too. Let me pause the video. Let me save this quick. Control Shift T. Oops, wrong place. Let me override quick. And I'm gonna stop record for a moment. God. When you are on spotlight display like this, in order to be able to sculpt geometry, like this, you need to disable the sample underbrush right here, spotlight projection. If I enable it, I will not be able to sculpt the surface, because ZBrush looking for image to project. So if there's no image on the surface, you can't project the shape. Now, we don't use that tool. We wanted to sculpt directly without projection, so you need to disable this spotlight projection. Okay. And some of you didn't know how to save your spotlight. When you have spotlight here, you need to go to texture menu, save spotlight. You back it up. When you want to bring it back, you load spotlight. So that's it. You need to save it from here. Now, some of you forget how to bring the image in. Basically, under texture, you click texture button here and choose import. Oops, sorry. Right here. And then you can select multiple image, import it in. It will be right here, anywhere there. Maybe I should do it. How about I do it a little more? 1, 2, 3. Here we go. 3. So can you see 3? Now when I select the icon of the image, the add and remove enable. And then you can add. Here we go. Then I can rearrange simply. And I'm gonna grab that, move it right here. And we use only 2 buttons, scale and opacity. That's it for now. I just review how to use a spotlight. So, okay, now I'm gonna press Z back to disable dial and make sure under sample, underbrush, sample section, disable spotlight projection. Now you can sculpt them. I'm going to give you 5 more minutes. Let me pause back one more time. So the question is about the mandible. So let me go to the mandible right there. There we go. And I'm going to turn on transparency. Now, the mandible, I already made sure the shape based on, oh, I did not. So now, what I need to do is, I try to match. So I can use move tool if I want to, or I can use scale tool. Scale on the side. Can you see it like this? And then you switch back Q. You use move tool to kind of sculpt them. There we go. And then we're going to trim it. Not now, but we will. So you kind of try to make it look like a square on the bottom. And it's halfway right at the end. So halfway. So the top part of the mandible right there will be about halfway. So I think it's too far. And can you see the, if you look at on the reference, let me grab that, make it bigger. Right here, it's a little bit above the bottom of the nose, the nostril cavity, but right around here. So you just look at on your mark. The mark is right here, so it's about there, the height. So that part. Okay. So now, at this point, though, you can cut it. Let me turn this off quick. There we go. I'm going to show you something quick. So if you go to Control Shift again, you can do clip curve again. And then you kind of started to clip it. And you don't have to be precise on the proportion at the moment, because we just want to get the shape roughly. So now, if you tap the Alt key while you are holding a Control Shift, you get a curve. There we go. And I got one more Alt. There we go. So I kind of cut the part just to get started. If you like, you can trim more, like to make it a little more angle, you know, just for fun. There we go. So, and then this section, basically you just cut it from here. So it looked like this. See? Control Shift T to save. Save again. Keep saving. This time though, I think I saved 03 for too long. I'm gonna add 03A. You can save any name you want. I like to do this way. Okay. Once again, we try to conceptualize the shape, the form. And I can play around a little bit by angle this. You can trim, or you can just use move brush. It doesn't have to be any particular order. There we go. I just try to form the shape a little bit. I mean, you don't have to use a clip brush to do it. You can just move from one long sphere and then bend them. It's as long as you could get the shape. Hey guys, shortcut to jump to the sub tool. You hold Alt key and click on the surface you wanted to jump to. Alt key, click on the surface, you jump around, and that's gonna give you a little quick jump. Let me trim that. There we go. Like cycling around the sub tool without using the sub tool palette. Make things a little faster. when you're ready, you can go ahead, trim the mandible to open that jaw, like the inside, hollow it, not hollow, just open it. Control Shift, clip brush, and now when you do clip brush like this, it might not work as you expect, but try it. Just get roughly. There we go. I do like this. Oh, I can't. So in this case, I gotta do little by little, I think. I can't go too deep. Oh man, I know what I did. Nope. Well, let's one more time. 1, 2, I want that. 1. See if I can do it. Well, that's all I could do. Okay. And then I'm gonna just use move to. Hey guys, we need one more things to help us for the move, because do you guys remember brush move infinite? This one, we need that, because with regular move tool, it just move only where the brush is, where the point and fall off. But infinite will move infinite to that perpendicular direction. So now can you see I can move off? Let me undo back step quick. Oh, no. I want that. There we go. See, if I use a move tool, this is what I get, the shape. Let me turn that off. Undo. But if I use move infinite, it moves all the way from the front to the back, quicker. So, and you can trim this side also, or you can just move them like that. Okay. Then I'm gonna trim with trim dynamics. There we go. Like trim dynamics act like you using a small metal or knife to grazing the surface off, and might be a good time to re-dynamask. Control drag. There we go.
When I go to do the cut, it keeps like cutting it and leaving like this curve.
So in that case, this is what I did with the cut. I do like this. 1, tap, 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 like this. And then just cut it. So it's not perfect, but you have to work around a little bit. So I'll give you 15 minutes to shape this. Let me go help. Let me pause the video again. At this point, because we are not having the psychomatic yet, that's why it looks like this on the upper part of the skull. So after we add psychomatic bones, left and right, it will look close. Okay, we will add that. Right now, I want you to get the parietal bone, which is the upper part, and then connect to the basically the nozzle and the nozzle bone. We haven't added the nozzle bone yet. We're gonna wet, but we have the eye socket at least. Let me reshape this a little bit. Because later on I will talk a little more about this section on the nozzle and the orbital socket right there. It needs to have slightly angle, because when we sculpt the human face, we want the skin kind of cover from the nasal bone and then go around to the angle of the eye socket right here. We need to show that off. It will look more natural. Okay. So it looked like this, kind of. And I'm going to redye the mesh by control drag outside, redye the mesh. 5 more minutes. I'm going to edit my mandible a little bit. So I'm going to move that. I think it's a little too thin, or too thick. Hey guys, don't forget time to time turn on a perspective. Under draw menu of the perspective, let's do 85. So it won't be too much distortion. I'm going to use a trim dynamics. And once again, the trim dynamics brush is allow you to kind of scrape off the surface. It's similar to trimming, but it's more manual. Let me turn that off. Let me solve this area. And don't forget, use Dynamesh. Look at your reference when you sculpting. Just roughly. I could see that my upper part of the skull, oh, my mandible is too small. 1/3. Let me, here we go. Yeah, my mandible is really small. Oh. I'm going to push the temporal bone section in a little bit so that show off, so that it show. There we go. Here we go. Let me save quick. And then, so if let me turn off maxilla, look like this at the moment. Pause, so that you can have it during the weekend. So at this point, if I turn on my maxilla, look like this. Now I can see, I think my maxilla might be too out. Here we go. So, and let's add a psychomatic bone. So I think this part might be too thick at the moment, right here. I should trim it off. This angle. Okay, might be too thick. All right. So now for the cyclomatic, you could do something similar to the mandible, the technique. So I'm gonna start off with, how about, let me insert a cylindrical shape, might be easier. Cylindrical, and convert it, if you want, let's name it, rename zygomatic, there we go. And you could do them left and right at once because it would be faster. Geometry, data mesh, I forgot to turn on, that's okay. And then just soften, oops, don't forget, press X to enable a symmetry. Soften a little bit. So now basically, what we're gonna do is, we're gonna cut them. Okay, so you can use a curve clip. Where is the curve? Here we go. Okay, you can use a regular curve clip. So drag, Alt, and tap spacebar to move. Sorry, something like that. Oh, you might have to add Alt. I forgot. You need to add Alt to subtract. Okay. Hey guys, I don't think the clip, let's use regular clip curve, easier. Tap Alt, one Alt. Okay. Here we go. Just doesn't cut like what I wanted, but it's okay. And sculpt them. I'm going to use a move infinite. I can't see well. Oh, let me scale first. Sorry. Go to side view. Come on. Turn on move to, shrink it. There we go. Should be right around here. I'm gonna make it a little bigger than supposed to. Okay. And let me turn off every other sub tool so that I can sculpt this quicker. Okay. Redata mesh. Then just go ahead and move. Let me turn off one more. You might need to look at on the reference. This one would allow you to see it. Let me shrink that one. Temporary. There we go. Basically, we try to make that shape. And on the back, this side, don't worry about it because we're gonna merge them, become one later. I mean, you can have a little extended. Here we go. And I'm gonna bring back my top skull. Oh, luckily that and turn off transparency. Now, you want to do this shape. Right here. Has a little slope, so it's mean if I move. And there we go. I think I should use infinite again. Better. I am doing it a little too quick because I want you to get the idea, not idea, before I stop for today, so that you can do during the weekend. So now I just try to look at on the font how the shape should look like. Here we go. Make sure, gonna turn on a transparency again. These need to create a space, because can you see the space? So it needs to show, and you might need to enable this. It shouldn't go too wide. There we go. So it should be right around there. Like that. There we go. So now this section, I'm gonna alt click, oops, and then I'm gonna trim that part a little bit. There we go. So that leaves that a little angle. Alt click to get to that subtool, and if you look at it, my angle is incorrect right here. So I should have add that to the so the angle should be like this. One moment. I try to separate that section. Now it's showing up. That's good. That's what I wanted. So it means I think the skull, the parental, need to be narrower. So I'm going to use move. Oops, wrong one. Alt click. That need to be smaller. Can you see it started to show now? Okay. So that can be a little more. Now, you might curious, like, why do I have to do separate? I can merge them right away, but because I wanted to be able to slide in and touch up this area easier for now, because we still under blocking. So when you separate the part, it's easier to touch up. Okay. So now this has to be narrower again. That part, sorry. Okay. And when you look at on the back side of the skull, actually they're kind of flat. See, like that. And at this point, I'm going to go back and forth, try to reshape the psychomatic as much as before I combine them. And then you just going to smooth these out, that's all. Smooth them out for now. So now to blend this section, don't get sweat yet. Just wait until we convert. We make them become one. I think I could start to make them become one right now. Let me do touch up just a bit. Hey guys, what about this section? Do you remember there's another tool that allow us to kind of skinny surface or enlarge the surface? So, to inflate, and so now let me try. If I hold Alt key, will make it skinnier. Can you see? But be careful because when you do too much, it's become like that. If you don't hold Alt key, it's enlarge it. So I'm gonna hold Alt key, touch a little bit, make it a little skinnier. Now, if it started to intersect, well, smooth it and redynamesh. Here we go. And then it will reshape it for us. So I'm gonna skinny this part a little bit. Here we go. And then soft, redynamesh. Here we go. So now I can combine them now. And so I'm gonna save, Control Shift T. Oh. I'm gonna call A, and then I'm gonna Control Shift T again, and then I'm gonna call B. Just in case if something wrong, I can go back to that one. So now I'm gonna merge this down, top skull and zygomatic. Merge down. Click OK. Save again. So now when I redynamesh, does it turn off? Maybe. Yep, it turned off. Here we go. And then I can soften it. And now you can start it to touch up. So right now the brow bridge and the orbital bridge right here, I can add clay build up. Can you see? Here we go. And you can do trim dynamics to help to trim it. Because we want, can you see, you can exaggerate a little bit to create an angle of the plane like this. Let me exaggerate it. Here we go. You want that plane. Okay. Now, to add a nozzle bone, really easy. You can just use a new shape, or you can go from here. Clay buildup. Redynamesh. There we go. And then I'm going to use move brush. There we go. And then redynamesh, soften it, redynamesh until you get what you want. Until you get the shape you want. There we go. So redynamesh. And clay buildup. Right there. It looked like this. It's kind of a triangle shape, but it has a little roundness before the bottom part. Before it touched the bottom. Let me exaggerate a little more. And then I can do trim dynamics, trim that part a little bit before I started to craft out. Okay. These are really important because when we build the human face next week, we add eyeball on it. It has to show when skin wrapping the nose bridge and right on the orbital here. Okay. Now, one thing before what time is it? Okay, good. Oh, we good. Might be a little long today, guys. Now, the brow, I want you to look at this section. I want you to pay attention on this, on the brow. Because when you sculpt the real surface, when you put skin cover, Can you see right here, the brow? This is look like a brow cell. It's a really protrude bone, and then it's concave in here, and then has another, the orbital bridge right here that connect to the tempora. So if I exaggerate it, I want to show you this one quick. Right here. So I'm going to exaggerate a little bit, right? Okay. Not right. It looked like this. There you go. And I'm going to touch up a little bit. Can you see it look like this? So now when you do face sculpting or paint or drawing, if you don't show this, it look kind of really stylized, become cartoon right away. But in real life, it's like this. But it just because you don't see it much, because you have eyebrow to block it out. So hide it. But then this section will show on the upper eyelid. You will see it. I have a really pronounced section on here, like mine is like really big. So you will see some people has, so that's the top part. And people forget about this section all the time when they do it. Like a beginner, they will forget this part because it's easy to not pay attention, yes. So, okay. Now, right here, the upper, you need to create like this. Carve it out, exaggerate just a bit. Oops. See, it should have that separation because when you add the muscle, right here will show really well from the cheek to the upper of the lid. Like, here we go. And then to craft this in, you just use clay buildup, Alt key, and then just cut it through. Breathe and mesh time to time. There we go. Okay. We are still on low subdivision. Let me turn on. Now, right now, the maxilla is become, let's see, right there. So it's mean a little too big on the top here. So let me scale. Here we go. That looks much better. And I need to trim off that top part because otherwise will intersect with the nozzle cavity. So I'm gonna do clip curve again because I wanted Alt to tab. I'm gonna just clip it like that. There we go. So now these sections need to be pushed in. We use that just a reference for temporarily because we need to combine them. Where's my move? Okay. You see? Here we go. And let me move that inward a little more, maybe smooth it. So, and then on the back, you will need to cut them like that. And we should separate this top and bottom part. Okay, so we're gonna duplicate that. So let me duplicate it. And if I name the maxilla, I'm gonna name upper maxilla. I mean, later on we're gonna merge them together, but this will keep us. I'm gonna call up, and this one gonna be a low. Oops. There we go. Save before it's crashed. So what I'm trying to do with this is the top one, I'm gonna trim them so that it looks like this, kind of including teeth, just including them together. So now you can look, this one is half, actually no, 1/3, right? This is 2/3, this is 1/3, one of these two sections. So this is a one section. So it means if you said this is, let's say 1 and 2, so the middle will be right around there. Am I confusing you? Basically, you look at this length and then you divide it into 3 sections. 1, 2, so 1 here, right there, second, and then this is the third. So on the middle section, you divide it into half, so it's about there. So we're gonna trim it. Oop. I'm gonna trim it. Oh, I hold the mouse too hard. There we go. Oh, because I was on the wrong one. Sorry, guys. I was on the wrong subtube. I was wondering why. Here we go. I just gonna do it quick. Okay, and then I should trim that part also. There we go. So now before we move on, I should make some adjustment on this model, on the upper part. I'm gonna shrink it in. Basically, I just want that to look like this. Okay, so now I can combine them now on the top. And on the bottom, let's turn it on quick. Let's do on the bottom quick. So you just trim it. Don't have to be perfect, just trim quick, it's fine. Here we go. And then on the upper teeth, it looks like this, right? The upper teeth, or the lower is similar. It has a little hollow in there. So let me solo quick. So it means I will have to do like this. One. Hold on. How about that one? It won't be perfect, but that's okay. Redynamash, smooth it. Ooh. It does that sometimes, don't worry. We just have to smooth it out. Redynamash, it will go away. Redynamash. Keep smoothing. Redynamash. Redynamash. Okay, and I will redynamash more. Right now I'm gonna let go for temporary. Here we go. Okay, so that's the bottom. And the bottom is gonna be binded to the jaw. So now I can highlight the lower maxilla, low, merge down to mandible. Here we go. And then when I redynamash, now they become one. And then you just touch it up. Okay. So I'm gonna finish this, and then that's it for now, and then I'll help around. And you should get the idea of how to work on this now. So now, and now I'd like you to go ahead, look up on the detail when you work during this weekend. Let me merge this down quick. Merge down. There we go. And redynamash. And now can you see? You get a really okay skull. And then you just have to touch up the detail. So now, for the detail, I want you to look. You don't have to do like a perfect detail. I just want you to get the landmark of the skull, understand and be able to identify where they are. Okay, so you focus on a orbital, nozzle gravity, and then the shape of the upper teeth and the angle right here, the angle of the zygomatic, because those gonna really show when you started to sculpt the surface, like when you add surface on. Okay. And okay, I should stop. I keep going to do it again and again. So, any questions, guys? So that will be your homework, and I will put the video into class folder